Hi everyone, my name's Diabetor, and today I'm going to show you a great method I discovered for farming RIMED crystal buds before reaching the Consecrated Snowfield. The only way to do this is in the mountaintops of the Giants, so I'm going to make this guide with the assumption that you've already been there. We start off by grabbing the Golden Vow Ash of War and the Lance Great Spear from the area to the east of the War Master's Shack in Limgrave. I didn't show it in the video, but I also grabbed the Impaling Thrust Ash of War, which I grabbed from War Master Bernal in the War Master's Shack. If he's not there, you can also find him in Volcano Manor. We kill that Godric Knight on the horse to get the Golden Vow Ash of War, and then just to the side of it, we can drop down from the cliff onto this ruin over here and grab the Lance Great Spear. I'm going to use these items to easily kill Commander O'Neill, who can be located at the heart of Aeonia in Caelid. We need to kill O'Neill because he drops the unalloyed gold needle, which is necessary to get a spell that we're going to use for this farm. Just to the north of O'Neill is the Inner Aeonia Site of Grace. Make sure you grab it in case you have a hard time with him and you need to switch out your loadout or leave and come back at another point. There's a summon sign here where you can summon Pollyanna, who's Milicent's sister, in case you need help to fight O'Neill. But honestly, using the lance with Impaling Thrust makes him really easy. I think he only has 90 poise, I don't know the exact number, but he's low enough on poise that if you're using the lance and you use Impaling Thrust, which does 30 poise damage on hit, you only take 3 Impaling Thrust to break his stance. So as you can see, I'm just breaking his stance every 2 seconds because it's just so easy to do. And since the lance gets such great range, it's really easy to avoid getting hit by him. The only problem is when he gets to half health and he summons these 3 guys, but they're also super weak to pierce, so you can just hit them with the lance and 2-shot them anyway. So when he dies, he drops the Commander's Standard, which has a nice buff you can use as his Ash of War, and he also drops the unalloyed gold needle, which we need to bring over to Gowrie near Celia in order to have him fix it. So I had fast travel to the Church of the Plague because I had the Site of Grace and I like to come from here instead of going through Celia. So there's the Inner Aeonia Site of Grace, and it points you in the direction of Celia. You're supposed to light 3 fires in the town and then go up this big path, and that takes you to the Church of the Plague. But I don't really like doing that because it's kind of a bitch to do. Obviously, if you're playing the game normally or whatever, that's what you should do. But what I did was I went to the Third Church of America, and I took the teleporter in the pond behind it. That brings you up to the Bestial Sanctum, and then from there you can just follow the road to the south behind the Erd Tree. Behind the Erd Tree there's a Spirit Spring. You jump up the cliff, that takes you to Fort Faroth. And then from Fort Faroth, you just follow the wall to the giant skull. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. And you can jump down the cliff there and just head straight to the Church of the Plague. And then from the Church of the Plague, we can really easily get down to Gary's shack. So where that tree was, you just jump down onto this roof here, then drop down onto this one. And then from here, you drop down to the ground. And instead of following the road through Celia to get to Gary's shack from the front, I like to jump up the cliff over here because you see he's got a big guard dog outside the front of his shack, so I like to come that way so it doesn't attack me. So talk to Gary, he wants the needle, you give him the needle, and he'll tell you to come back. So you have to reload the area. You can either fast travel to a Site of Grace, or you can just do what I did and quit out, and then when you spawn back in, the area will be reloaded, and he'll give you the fixed unalloyed gold needle. Go back up to the Church of the Plague and give it to Milicent. Once you give it to her, there's a bit of dialogue, there's a short fade to black that you can skip. Rest at the Site of Grace, and now she'll be back up. Talk to her, get the heirloom from her. That talisman increases your dex by 5, so it's pretty good to have. And then here, you see, I jumped off and I tried to land on the roof, but I messed up and I died. But since there's a Stake of Marika in town, I can just spawn at the Stake of Marika, so it still made it easier. Talk to Milicent at Gowrie's shack. After that, she will move to the Erd Tree Gazing Hill in the Altus Plateau. If you follow the valley north of that, it'll take you to the Shaded Castle, where we need to grab the Valkyrie's Prosthesis to give to her. So I'm just running through it. You can run past all the enemies here, they're all pretty easy. So here, I could go left straight to where the Prosthesis is, but there's a Clean Rod Knight guarding it, and in case I die, I don't want to have to run all the way back through. So instead, I grab the Site of Grace over here first, and then you can jump on top of this wall, and this allows you to easily get back down to where the Prosthesis is, instead of having to go all the way around the ramparts again. So here's that Clean Rod Knight. She's not all that tough, but, you know, I like to do it better safe than sorry. And then in the chest, we grab the Valkyrie's Prosthesis. Now we're going to head over to the Erd Tree Gazing Hill, and then we can talk to Milicent just north of it, and we will give her the Valkyrie's Prosthesis. She'll thank us. That's it for Milicent's questline for what we need to do for this farm. So we go back to Gowry, and now that we've given her the Prosthesis, he will sell us spells. We're looking for Night Maiden's Mist. The next item we're going to grab is the Sword of St. Trina, so we can get that from the Forsaken Ruins. We can easily get there just by following the road east out of Limgrave into Caelid. So we'll be at the Rotview balcony, and if we look down, we see the ruins. There's giant birds guarding this, so we gotta be fast. Instead of following the road north from the Rotview balcony, I like to just go to the south part of the cliff and drop down, where there's a safe drop. And then you can just run over here to the Stone Sword Key thing, and if you do it fast enough, then the birds can't hit you while you're doing the animation. And if you run away from them, you can easily come down in here. And inside the chest is the Sword of St. Trina. This requires 14 intelligence to wield, and Night Maiden's Mist requires 14 intelligence to cast. So in case your character can't meet that 14 intelligence requirement, I came to the Road to the Manor site of Grace on the northwestern end of Liurnia, so you can get here through the King's Realm ruins. So you'll see at the South Ray of the Caria Gate and the Academy Gate Town, over to the east, there's this gazebo here in the middle of the lake. That has a teleporter which takes you up to the King's Realm ruins. And then there's an illusory wall at the north part of the ruins, and that takes you to this Grace right here. And then from the Grace, we can just head to the southeast, drop down the cliff over here where it's safe to drop down, and then follow the cliff to the north. We'll come to this little area right here, and there's a basin surrounded by a bunch of giant hands, so don't get owned. That basin has the Intelligence Knot Crystal Tear in it, which, inside your Wondrous Physic, will increase your intelligence by 10 for 3 minutes. We're also going to need a staff. I didn't show where to get one, but at that Liurnia Lakeshore site of Grace, there's a merchant that sells the Astrologer's Staff. You don't actually need to meet the requirements for the staff in order to cast the spell. You just need to meet the requirement for the spell. So in this case, that's Night Maiden's Mist at 14 intelligence, as well as the Sword of St. Trina at 14 intelligence. So our main tools here are going to be the Sword of St. Trina and a staff, which we will use to cast Night Maiden's Mist on the lobsters. In addition, we're also going to need a bow for aiming. You can use a telescope if you want, but it's better with a bow because you have a crosshair. And you will need kukris, which I didn't show here, but you can get them at the Castlemorn Rampart site of Grace. In the Weeping Peninsula, there's a merchant at that site of Grace, and he sells infinite kukris. That's it for what's necessary for this. If you have it, you can use something like the Stargazer Heirloom, which is what I did. That increases your intelligence by 5. There's also that Intelligence Crystal Tier that we picked up, which increases your intelligence by 10. So it shouldn't be a problem to actually meet the intelligence requirement for these items. We're going to the First Church of America at the southeast end of the Mountaintops of the Giants. Just to the north of the church, there's this little cliff that overlooks these 2 sleeping lobsters. So what we're going to do is, you see this little part that juts out, this little like semi-square rock protrusion, whatever. It's in between like 2 big rocks. You'll see it. You'll know when you come over here and you see it. So we're going to stand here on the corner of it, and then we're going to aim at this rock over here. So where the tip of the lobster's antenna is, I'm not sure if that is a hitbox or not, but I try to be careful not to hit it. But you see where it transitions from snow to just clean rock there. That's where you want to aim, and then throw a kukri. That'll hit and make a loud noise and wake up the lobsters and distract them. It'll attract them over to it. Then you can drop down the cliff and sneak up behind them. Make sure you crouch walk, or make sure you have something that gives you silence. And then you can hit them with the Ash of War on the Sword of St. Trina, and that'll knock them both out instantly. And then you can cast Night Maiden's Mist in between them so it hits both of them. So normally, if an enemy is affected by the sleep status effect and sleeping, when you hit them with any attack, it'll wake them up. But Night Maiden's Mist apparently doesn't do that. So these lobsters get long sleep timers. I want to say it's like 60 seconds, but I'm not sure. It'll last long enough that we can kill them using Night Maiden's Mist pretty easily. Night Maiden's Mist does 1500 damage over its duration, while the enemy is standing within the mist. And you'll see here, they wake up right before it kills them. So you might have to dodge an attack, and I have a method to deal with that. But it didn't really matter. They just, got one hit in, and then they both died. And then pick up their items. They have a 50% chance of dropping the Rimed Crystal Buds. So I got really unlucky there in not getting either of them. And then here, there's something weird that happens. So the lobsters have a dodge that they can do, and they fucking jump backwards like 50 feet. So that's what this one did as soon as I hit it. This only happened once in the dozen or so times that I tried this out. So it seems pretty rare. I just reset. All you have to do is ride 2 seconds back to the church and rest at the site of Grace. So here it is again, and this time I'm going to show you what to do just to make sure they can't hit you if it doesn't kill them before they wake up. So once again, I threw my kukri at the rock between where the snow ends and where the snow begins, and then that lures them both over there. Sneak up behind them, go to a spot where your sword will hit both of them when you cast the Ash of War. Cast the Ash of War, that'll knock them both out. That one managed to get an attack in, but as long as you don't hit it, it won't wake up. Make sure you don't hit it after you use the Ash of War. Then I cast Night Maiden's Mist, and I ran back up onto the cliff over here, and I can cast Night Maiden's Mist from above, and so this way, if they wake up, then I won't be in melee range, and they won't hit me. So there's a lot less risk up here. So they wake up, and I tried using a kukri to finish them off, because I wasn't sure if the mist would kill them, but the mist killed them. But in the event that it doesn't, you can use kukris to finish them off. Kukris are really strong. And you see there, only one of them dropped a crystal bud this time. If you have a higher arcane stat, or if you use a silver pickled foul foot, then that'll increase your item discovery stat and make it much more likely for you to get a rhymed bud with every kill that you do. But like I said, they have a 50% base drop rate, so it really shouldn't be a problem even if you don't. But anyway, I hope you found that helpful. Thanks for watching. Consider leaving a like and subscribing, and I'll catch you later.